Hello and welcome to Honest Faith Conversations. As always, I am your co-host Miguel Covarrubias.
And I am Kathy Covarrubias, and today we're going to be talking about This Is Us, Season 1, Episode 18, MoonShadow.
Yeah, this is the season finale for Season 1, which an 18-episode season seems kind of short, but... you know.
Well, especially for a good show like this, it makes it seem kind of short.
Yeah. There were Parenthood seasons that were only like 13 episodes, though, weren't there?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so I think along with those catharsis shows, I think, are a little, they don't give us enough catharsis to last the entire year. Anyway, spoiler alert for this one. If you have not seen that one yet, go watch it. Of course, this is going to be in our controversial issues segment as well, but even if you've heard any of the hype about this episode, it's still a very good episode, whether or not you agree with some of the folk that are saying otherwise. But we think that it was a good episode.
Yes.
Anyway, synopsis for this episode. We are following Jack and Rebecca in the 90s when, he is going to go and see her first show on tour, which is in Cleveland.
Yes.
So, which I was kind of like, hey, Cleveland, we're there.
Hey, that's us.
We know that 2-hour drive from Pittsburgh to Cleveland well, because that's where IKEA is. So
Yes. We love our IKEA. Shout out to IKEA.
Yo, IKEA.
We don't even go to the kids like as adults. It's all
It does,
just...
yeah. At the end of the episode, it does for a few minutes during his speech. It does go further back in time, so you see Jack and Rebecca when they first meet and how they first meet, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But yeah, that's kind of the episode. It really kind of focuses on their relationship, on Jack and Rebecca, which I think was perfect. It kind of rounded out the season, because that's where you started. You started off with Jack and Rebecca. You started off with getting to know them and seeing these other people that you didn't think were related until the end of the episode. And but we did talk about the pilot episode, so go back and check out that episode of ours.
Yes.
It's a good one. It's, I think, one of our better episodes. So.
I like to think so.
Yeah. Well, it's because it's just us telling our story, so...
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, this episode, I think, is very much all about relationships, and I think that through the lens of faith, I mean, that's what faith is all about. Faith is about your relationships with other beings, with other beings, with creation as a whole around you, with your relationship with other human beings, with other
God's creatures,
with other creation, with everything that in the whole of cosmos. How your relationship is with all of it, and that goes for every religion. Oh, by the way, I wasn't even planning to do this, but a shout out to Crash Course. Crash Course has been doing a series on mythology.
Oh yeah,
starting off with with creation stories. And if you know me, you know that I am a huge fan of creation myths.
Yes.
I absolutely love creation myths and how different cultures kind of saw the world coming into being, how they saw everything coming into being. And so go check them out. They're great videos on YouTube. So.
Yeah, I was about to say they're videos on YouTube, not podcasts, but still.
Yeah.
We still like them, even though they are a little different from us.
So I want to start off with where we were at last week with the self-medication. Last week we were talking about Doctor Strange and about how, in the comic books and in the movie a little bit, Doctor Strange was doing this whole kind of thing with self-medication and his problems. And you see that a lot in Jack, right?
Yeah.
Here at the end of the last episode, the beginning of this episode, with his draw to drink again. And the funny thing is, at the end of the episode, he kind of tries to play it off as he's a drunk, but it's his own way of self-medicating, his own way of dealing with his stress and with his problems.
Yep.
And
I also think to help build up his courage too.
Yeah, to help build up his courage. And I'll talk about this a little bit later on, but I think that had he had the right support, that's probably was not a good option for him. And I think that with that, it's kind of his excuse. He was using that excuse of being a drunk as saying, "Oh no, this is my fault. This is my crutch. This is my way of dealing with the stress." And
real quick, I don't know about you, but like that moment when he was driving and you see like all of those cans in the seat, and he's also not wearing a seatbelt, like my stress level went through the roof. I was like, what are you doing? Like obviously nowadays, like this obviously like a big no to do both of those, but the fact that he was doing both at the same time, like I was like
well, yeah, maybe we should have put that in the controversial issue segment, but driving drunk, no. And
I don't think that's a controversy. I think
driving
just
without
no.
a seatbelt, no, just don't do it.
Sorry, anyway.
But those were, he's making excuses for his life. He's making excuses why he is the way he is, and this is something that I think pretty much more evident in Rebecca's character. Is I think in Rebecca, it's much more evident that she makes those excuses for herself, and she believes. And this is the same thing that every human being does. I think, is that we make excuses for why we do things. Is we do we lie to ourselves, whether it be subconsciously or consciously, about why we have to do something or why we do something. Like for her, it's I'm going to be a musician. I'm going to be a singer, so I got to go to the live open mic nights and sing, or else I can't be a musician. And I think that's a bit of an excuse in itself. And her kind of saying, this is my break going on tour is no. She can get a break in another way. She can do it another way. And, well, like us with the podcast, I would love to get a break. I would love to have, a much larger audience. And I think that...
Even though we do love you guys very, very much.
Yeah, we love those who do listen. Is most podcasters will tell you is that within the first year, within the first 2 years of doing a podcast, you're probably not going to have anybody listen to your episodes. Is that, it takes time, it takes practice, it takes a lot of work. The fact is, you're not going to make any money off of it, which is fine because we're doing this for fun. And I really enjoy doing this. I really enjoy taking time and talking about these things and actually, kind of analyzing these things a little bit further with you, because I think it builds our relationship a little bit more. This is, kind of bringing it back to what we're talking about relationships. Is that I think this is something that allows us to open up lines of communication with each other. But coming back to that is that I think both characters are making excuses for themselves in this. I think that Jack kind of redeemed himself a bit at the end there. I think Rebecca is redeeming herself, in the process of redeeming herself. I think that at the end you could see that she was taking what he said to heart.
Well, and I think, I do agree with that part. Sorry, everybody. That part. But I also think that she's still, it's going to take a while for her to be, okay with him again.
Oh, yeah.
Because she worked her butt off to get this far. This is the furthest she's gone to trying to achieve her dream ever. And the fact that he comes strolling in and essentially takes that from her, that's heartbreaking. Being so close to possibly getting that break. And in a way that's almost it's not she's not guaranteed to get that break, but it's on the right track. This is how a lot of artists get their big start. Yeah. And the fact that he comes in and just kind of just demolishes it, I can only imagine what her heartbreak may be.
He doesn't really demolish it. He's just himself in it. I think that...
But he does demolish it because she's not going to be on tour anymore. So she can't do that anymore.
But I don't think that she wanted it. And that's what I'm trying to say, is that, especially after Ben made his move and,
Oh, so you're saying she could have... just stayed, like, have him, like, she could have gone on with the show.
Yeah. Or, and said, you're not leaving. You're gonna sit outside. You're gonna wait for me in the car, and you sleep it off. And I'll come out there after you're done with the show. Give me your keys. Whatever. She could have still gone on with the show, but I think this was her opportunity to leave, to take off, and that's what she was saying beforehand. Is that I shouldn't have gone. When she went and she called and she tried to get a hold of Jack on the phone, I think that she knew it was not the right way to do it. And that's what I meant by excuses. Is
Gotcha.
that I think that she knew it wasn't the right way to go about it. I think they both, and throughout the entire episode is about them wanting more out of their relationships, more out of the way that they interact with the world. And for Rebecca, you saw that, they both set a high bar for themselves. Rebecca, she wanted more, and she wanted to be a professional musician. She wanted to be a professional singer, and that's, very high bar to set. Even the friends were trying to temper her expectation in the past when, they were like,
before she met Jack.
Yeah, before she met Jack was, it's 1 in a million. Mm-hmm. And Jack with his
got to diversify.
Yeah, Jack with his expectations, expecting to come back from Vietnam and to have everything be okay and to be able to find a job that easily. And it's
tough.
It's tough. It was tough back in the 70s or 60s and 70s. It's tough now.
Oh yeah, and even today, like, you would think that there would be more help out there for our vets when they come back, and there's little to nothing. And most of the stuff that does help vets is vets helping vets.
Oh yeah,
like, it's not. Gosh, like, I could just go on and on. Like the amount of struggles that they have to deal with, like like their mental health is usually like in shambles when they come back. As a result, they can lose their job if they had one set up. They can possibly lose their housing because of it as well too. Like, it's awful. Like, we got to do. These men and women went out and did what they thought they needed to do for our country. Mm-hmm. And the fact that they come back and are just like, okay, good luck. Like, thanks for defending us. Now you're on your own. Like, that, it's heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking. And the problem is, and I think that, I'm not sure if we talked about this before on the episode, in the podcast, or if we just talked about it, just ourselves. But we don't have rites of passage for people. Is that I don't think that we have rites of passage for people when they come back from war. Is that I think that they need to have a rite of passage to say, we don't need you as a soldier anymore. We need you as a husband, as a father, as a wife, as a mother, as a friend, as a neighbor, as, just a person that is a part of, as a citizen, as a part of the community. And, that's something that happens in some Native American cultures, some Native American places have that, concept, have that rite of passage after somebody comes back from war. And, it's sad. It is sad. And that's the high bar that's set for them. And they're both looking for a break. They're both looking for a way to get their break. And for Rebecca, it takes a lot longer, but as Jack said at the end of this episode, he says, that Rebecca was his break. And I think this is the whole where I'm going with this, is that I think that with this relationship for Jack, this was the moment that he realized that that being the good person, doing the things that he has done, led him to that point where he was that time, and that it made him want to be a better person. That she made him want to be a better person. It's just like I am with you, is that I was in theater, and I was doing all these things. I was just going through the motions, and I had that dream of becoming a youth minister, and I was a youth minister, and I met you, and it made me want more for my life. It made me want to be a better person. And, it made me set this bar.
You're making me uncomfortable, Mikhail. Now I'm all blushing and stuff.
It made me set this bar. Well, this is why when we watched it and I said at the end, he took my words. Those are my words. Because it's something that I would say to you, is that, this is our future is not written. It's just beginning. that, you know, we're not done. We're just beginning. And I think that for him, that's something that he realized, that every single day is a struggle. Every single day is a day that you're not competing with the rest of the world. You're competing with yourself to be a better person. Mm-hmm. And there's those people, those things in your life that make you want to be a better person. And I think that this whole episode was about that. It was about him discovering that for himself, and then rediscovering every single day that he needed to be a better person. And that's I think it was so focused on Jack. I think it was so focused on him and showing that internal struggle. And Milo does. I say Milo like I know him. Milo Ventimiglia is such a great actor that it's very subtle in the way that he does when he acts out the show. I listened to a few podcasts yesterday about This Is Us, and some people called him side face actor. I'm like, maybe he had a stroke or something in his life, but you know, yeah, he only acts with half of his face sometimes. But he does it very subtly, and I know this because I watched Heroes, and I loved him in Heroes, and so I identified with his character in Heroes. Mm-hmm. That's why I watched him so closely, and I saw, you know, the way that he did his thing, his craft in acting. And so that's why, you know, here I could tell that he was doing the subtle kind of internal struggle with the whole drinking and everything else, is that, you know, he wanted to be a better person, but he felt like this was the immediate relief for him, was to drink. And that at the very end he realized, no, what I need to do is I need to do what she needs. I need to go along with her needs and her wants in this.
Which is why he agreed to leave and go to Miguel's house.
Yeah.
Our house.
Our house. Well, yeah, you also said that hopefully that we'll have our extra room is clean enough for Jack to be here. So. Yeah. But yeah, passion gets messy. It gets really messy. Relationships get really messy because, you know, we as human beings, our needs and our wants change from day to day, from moment to moment. Mm-hmm. In this, you know, Jack was realizing that this passion gets messy. He did get messy. He got really messy. Messy. Even during the argument, I think that both of them, they showed this messiness. Mm-hmm. I mean, Jack with, you know, kind of throwing it out there that, oh, we're not enough for you. We're not, you know, you're not satisfied with us. Is that what's stopping you from having a life? As you know, he was doing some messy things. He was playing dirty in that argument, and that's kind of what we do during arguments. Is that we kind of play dirty a little bit. I mean, Rebecca did the same thing. Rebecca was kind of, you know, throwing it right back at him.
Yeah, like, I didn't want kids. Like, I didn't want any of this. Like, I did all this for you. Yeah, and I mean, those were. Even though she said in the morning, we both said some things last night. Even though they were the truth, and we may not have meant them. And I'm like, no, you can't do that. That's an easy way out of an argument. I had a problem with that at the morning. I had a problem with what she said in the morning. With exactly what? You didn't finish the sentence. Like, what exactly did you not? I had a problem with her saying that we can't take them back. It's like, yeah, you can regret what you said, because honestly, you didn't mean what it was. You can regret it, but you can't take it back. You can't take it back, but it's out. But the thing is that you may not have meant it the way that you said it, or you may not have, kind of really, during an argument, you just say things, and you say things that aren't true, and you say things that or are exaggerated. Yeah, or exaggerated, just to kind of get your point across, to make it seem like you were right. And I had a problem with that, and I think this shows a real relationship, because that's what happens in real relationships, mm-hmm. is that you have these arguments, and arguments are okay. Yeah, honestly, when I hear of couples who are like, "Oh yeah, we never argue," I'm just like, "Oh, like you never disagree on anything? Like nothing. That's gonna explode. You agree on everything." Yeah. I mean, I think that you and I have a strong relationship, even though we have some, I wouldn't even call them like rocky times, just more like, I don't know how else to describe it. Like
speed bumps?
Like more speed bumps, or like more like separate. Like we kind of like go in and out sometimes. Like sometimes we like, both of us will like need each other more. And then like in a relationship, like we kind of just like,
it's a wave.
Yeah, it's a wave. Like we're always connected, but like it just kind of goes like in and out kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's fine, because I don't think that it's healthy for people to constantly be relying on their spouse, because that's stressful for the spouse. And I don't think that it's healthy for you personally to have to rely on somebody, because like, what if that person's gone? Like for some reason, like heaven forbid something were to happen, like how are you going to function in your everyday life? Like, that's why, like, if something were to happen to me, like, I know that, like, you and Peter, like, of course, you're going to be sad for a while, but, like, I know that you'll make sure that life will go on. Mm-hmm. You know, like, the bills will be paid. I know that. I know that, like, Peter is going to be taken care of. Like, I know that all of that is, you know, going to happen. And I know that the same way, like in reverse, like if something were to happen to you, like I'm going to make sure that like Peter's taken care of. I'm going to make sure that the house is taken care of. Like, we don't have these, like, our roles aren't so separate from each other to where like we have no idea what the other person does in order to have our life keep on rolling.
Oh yeah.
Does that make any sense?
Well, no, it makes perfect sense. And it leads me to my next point, which is about support. You know, is that I think that one of the things that this episode shows is that as an adult, it's really hard to have support. I mean, with Jack at the very beginning of the episode, is that Jack's pride kind of lent him to kind of not ask for help. Mm-hmm. Is that he could have gone to Miguel. He could have gone to Miguel and asked him for help. I could have helped him. He really, his pride was in the way in this entire thing. And he was at that retirement party, and the secretary was hitting on him, and he was like, no. But still, he could have gone to Miguel for support and been like, dude, you know, I'm not doing okay. You know, and the problem with that also is that he knows that Miguel's going through that tough time as well.
Yeah, because Miguel's separating from his wife. And
the thing is that it's hard as an adult to ask for help. I mean, knowing this from personal experience, you know, it's hard to ask for help. All right, sorry about that. Our guest presenter woke up and was not having a good day. See? He just wanted to make sure that you all knew.
It's okay, Peter Robin.
So, as we were talking about support, and I think that it goes hand in hand with being a parent. Is you kind of need support, and it's hard to ask for help when you're a parent. You know, it was you know, at that point they were parents of teenagers, and you know, it's really hard for them to ask for help, especially when they're doing these things. You know, needing help with taking care of the teenagers, needing help with going out and starting your life and all this other stuff.
Well, especially since both of them don't have, they don't really have that much of a supporting family structure either.
Yeah.
Which makes things difficult.
Well, and you also have, in this episode, the during the speech, you have the big three doing their life decisions, their moments, where you can tell that they're going to need support in the next coming season, and that's kind of what the next season I think is going to be about, is about their support.
About like Kate becoming a singer or trying to become a singer.
Yeah, and you have Randall, who is going to try to adopt a parent, or maybe if.
Well, and who quit his job, so not only does he want to adopt a child, but he also needs a job.
Needs a job, and you have Kevin, who is his whole support system before was his siblings and with his parents and everything else, and now kind of striking off on his own with his ex-wife and getting that phone call from Ron Howard. I don't know if he's going to be in the next Arrested Development or not. Sorry, that's just a callback to Arrested Development. So.
It was a bad joke. Peter cried about it.
I know. I'm sorry.
I think out of all of them, though, I don't know. I was thinking that maybe Kevin would be the most, needing the least support. But the thing is, with Kevin, he has needed Kate's support in everything.
I know.
And so, I think that even though for most people, this would be, an easy decision. Just talk to, your lady friend and, see what's going on, what she feels about it. But the fact that, Kate now she's engaged now. She's, starting to, build her own career. She can't help Kevin anymore. That's not her job anymore.
Well, and I also think that if it comes down to it, if he has to make the choice of Sophie, her name is Sophie?
I think so, yeah.
Sophie or the movie, Ron Howard's thing, I think he's going to make the right decision. I think that he's going to stay with Sophie.
Yeah. Well, because the thing is, he can have a career in New York.
Yeah.
Not going with Ron Howard. Ron Howard may still, ask him to be in other shows just because he says no. Ron Howard does not strike me as one of those directors that be you said no to me once.
Yeah.
I'm never going to ask you again.
Well, and he would probably be, he would be way okay with that because, he understands actors. He understands schedules and things. I mean, he's been doing it since he was young.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I don't know whether this is us universe, if it's the same Ron Howard, but, yeah, and but if Ron Howard in this universe listens to our podcast and would like to cast us in a movie, we'd be okay with that. So, the same thing with us. We need support, and that's one of the most difficult things is to ask for support, is ask for help, is to go out and to put yourself out there and say, hey, I'm struggling with something. Will you help me out with this? Mm-hmm. And the thing is, the way that relationships are done nowadays, with being mostly digital, mostly with social media and stuff like that, it's really difficult to do that because oftentimes that's really the only interaction that you have with somebody, is that asking for help.
Yep.
Is that reaching out to them? Is it's we've been friends on Facebook or whatever, and now you're reaching out for help. Is that I don't even see anything that you post because of Facebook algorithms or whatever. And I think that nowadays it's a lot harder. And back in the 90s, I mean, you saw the problem with the lack of cell phones with Rebecca calling home. That was, but even you had to do a lot of face to face and calling and
I don't know about you, but growing up, I knew all of my neighbors. I knew all of their names. I know that if I were in trouble, I could go to any of them and ask for help. Even the ones that I didn't know all too well, I know I could still go to them and ask for help. And here, we've met two of our neighbors.
I've met most of our neighbors, or at least immediate neighbors, the houses next door to us. But
even then, I can't tell you what their last names are.
Yeah. No, I've never asked their last names.
Yeah, I can't tell you what their last names are. I don't even know, I know very little about them besides, their first names and maybe what they do or if they have kids or not, but that's it. Mm-hmm. I would go over to the neighbor's house all of the time growing up.
Oh, I know you did. And, you told me horrible stories about that make me fear for the future of our child.
Okay, let me just clarify, everybody, because just in case my old neighbors are listening, it had nothing to do with my neighbors. It had everything to do with me wandering the streets when I was younger and there happened to be a maintenance truck, and I may have happened to just wander in and place Cinderella in the maintenance truck. Like, I don't understand, like, why that has anything to do with my neighbors.
Yeah,
they were fine.
It has nothing to do with your neighbors. It just has to do with, I was referring to, having imaginary conversations with your parents. And...
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I have to fill you guys in this, too. So I would also ask permission from my parents to go hang out at my neighbor's house. But what I would do is I would just go to the porch and I would ask my imaginary parents if I could go to my neighbor's house. And of course my imaginary parents would say yes. And then I would just go to my neighbor's house.
That's what makes me fear for our son. So,
I'm pretty sure we're going to supervise them more than my parents supervise me.
So let's open up the controversial issues segment of our broadcast. So with this episode, there was a lot of backlash because people felt like they were teasing Jack's death in this episode, and they didn't give us that. I really don't think
just because
they needed to do that.
No, just because they didn't give you your satisfactory sandwich doesn't mean it was a bad episode.
Yeah,
like that's not what constitutes making a show bad. Like, you don't need to have a satisfactory sandwich.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, they did a little bit of the Walking Dead trick. For those of you that are not aware, in the last season, season 6
spoiler alert,
of Walking Dead. Well, it was everywhere, so I don't know if anybody got away with not knowing about it.
I'm just saying it just in case, because I don't want anybody to get mad at us.
Yeah, but at the end of the last season is that you're expecting the entire time to see one of the characters die, and you don't know which one, and you're expecting something, but it doesn't happen, and so you kind of have that happening here in this one. Is the directors and the producers are kind of going the same direction with that, is that you're expecting to see Jack die, but it doesn't happen. Well, it was much worse with Walking Dead than this one.
It was much worse with Walking Dead. I mean, all they said was, Kate just said...
It caused that the stress from that episode caused you to go into early labor. So
yeah, the Walking Dead one, yes. But Kate said in the last episode, or the episode before this one, that here you go, Peter. All she said was, "I'm the reason why my dad died." That's all she said, and then people assumed.
Yeah.
That's what was going to happen. Like, they never said, this, like, next episode, so-and-so, like, watch Jack die. No one ever said that.
The preview did show that image of Jack with all the beer cans in the back. And so, it was a little bit like they were teasing that. But, and with the end of that episode, you have, after she said that it was my fault, that you have that phone conversation where she kind of confirms that he's going to go save the marriage kind of thing. And so it was kind of hinted at that.
But here's my thing. That's good writing. That gets you hooked in to make sure that you watch the next episode.
Yeah, it was kind of a hook. And so they did get that hook, and we have to wait until September to find out if even they're going to show that at the beginning of the series next season. Or
I think that we're not going to see him dead for a while.
Yeah. The next big thing about this, the controversial, and I wanted to say that I felt that this was one of the good episodes, one of the better episodes. It really showed you, kind of where the relationship was at with Jack and Rebecca, and from the beginning and to that point, and even into the future, it kind of showed where things were going and what things were like. Was that Jack still loved her? Jack loved her immensely.
But is love enough to save a marriage?
Yes. It takes work.
But you have to have the love of both people.
Yeah.
And I think
it's not an unrequited love.
Yes. At this point in time in their marriage, at the end of the episode, I feel like Jack I don't know. I honestly don't know if it's. I don't think the actions that led to him going to drive there was love. I think the emotion that drove him was jealousy.
Yeah, and worry. And I mean, if he loved her, if he really trusted her, then he wouldn't have done that.
No, he wouldn't have.
I mean, he still would have gone, but he wouldn't have been drinking. And
he wouldn't have freaked out like the way he did. Maybe he would have gone to be supportive and hey, I'm here to see your show, surprise, not I don't think. I don't know.
Well, and that brings me to my next point: is that there are no quick fixes, and that's a controversial issue, is because everybody in this life is looking for a quick fix, and this is with everything. I mean, this is what's going on with our country, with the whole healthcare and with budget and everything else like this, is that there are no quick fixes to these things. And the politicians right now are going to lie to you and tell you that, oh yes, this is a big quick fix. And there are no big quick fixes. Our whole system is complicated because we're made up of a country of almost 300 million people. And we are all individuals. We all have our own issues. We all have, our own needs, and it's difficult when you're in a relationship with all of those people. Mm-hmm. A community that large is really complicated and really difficult. And the truth is, that's the same with everything in life. There is no quick fix to anything.
No, and there's especially to marriage. There's no quick fixes.
There's no quick fixes to marriage
in marriages, because even the quick fix that you think fixed it. Maybe the partner is still feeling like they were cheated out of the decision.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or
what are you trying to say?
Or when people are having a tough time in their marriage and they're like, okay, well, let's just have another baby.
That
bothers me.
Yeah. That's a controversial issue. That's a completely different one.
No, yeah. I don't support that.
Honestly, I don't think that's what Randall was doing.
No, I don't think that's what Randall was doing. I think he was more as in honor of...
To pay it forward.
Yes, exactly.
In honor of William and in honor of Jack.
Yep.
Was to take the lemons that he was given and try to make something resembling lemonade.
Yeah.
Also... you brought up assumptions. I'm sorry our guest presenter is having such a hard time today.
He's a little crabby today.
But, our assumptions about things, and this is, about the episode, is that, you gotta put aside your assumptions with things. You gotta at least, experience something. I mean, granted, we don't experience anything in a vacuum, but you gotta do that as best you can. You got to let your expectations go a bit, and that's what most people will tell you about going to the theater, going to see a show, is that you got to suspend your disbelief.
Yes.
In a way, you got to not assume that things are going to go the way that you think that they are going to go. Which in this episode, as a podcast that I'm about to plug here in a little bit. But as they said, is that the big twist of this episode that there was no twist.
Yep.
So, I think that's okay. I mean, because that's what this show is trying to do. This show is really getting you invested into the lives of these people, and they're doing a good job of writing real human lives.
Yeah.
Well, granted, not really real human lives, because it'd be a lot more boring. But
yeah, there'll be a lot of. And then here they are spending another night in front of the TV, or
yeah. And somebody's having issues in the bathroom this week, or something. That's what real relationships are like. But our assumptions are something that I think we need to temper in ourselves. We need to look at what our assumptions are and really temper that. So now with our time running out, we've got a few things in closing. This month, the month of March, is Tripod Month. So if you have been going on social media and seeing any hashtag tripod anywhere, pay attention. Go and find out what people are suggesting that you go and listen to. This is the month for you to begin listening to podcasts. I'm preaching to the choir because I'm saying this on a podcast.
Like two people who listen to podcasts. But the whole point is to try to get your friends and family who don't listen to podcasts or don't know how to listen to podcasts actually listening to podcasts. So do us a favor if you know somebody, like your neighbor, for example, or your friends and family. If you're going to be like seeing your family, in a couple of weeks for Easter, like say, hey, Uncle George, have you downloaded this app and listened to this podcast? Like, I think you would really enjoy it. Like, do us a huge favor and teach somebody how to listen to a podcast.
And it doesn't even have to be ours.
No, it doesn't have to be ours. I mean, it'd be great if it was ours, but it does not have to be ours.
And this entire month, on our Facebook page, we have been plugging some of our favorite podcasts with the hashtag tripod. And I'm going to plug one right now that I actually just listened to yesterday. I was trying to go back and, kind of summarize this episode and think about this episode a little bit deeper. And so I found Making Lemonade, the This Is Us podcast. They are on Libsyn. You can also find them on iTunes and a couple of other places. But go check them out. It's another married couple with a very young child. And so I thought there was a little bit of familiarity in that. So I just wanted to plug them really quickly for hashtag Tripod Month. And go and share it on social media. Let us know that you shared them or shared us on social media by using the hashtag Tripod.
Yeah, and tag us when you suggest something with Tripod. That helps too. And
that's where to find us on Facebook with the
Honest Faith.
Honest Faith is on Facebook. Also, our website, thehonestfaith.com, or on Twitter, we are at Real Honest Faith. And we're also on a couple of other places, so you hear us talking about that in other podcasts. But we're running out of time, so just quickly, just wanted to let you know that you can always make a suggestion to us to watch something or to check out something and do a future episode on.
Yes.
Or you can also add to our conversation to today's podcast and give us a call or give us a text at the phone number that is on our Spreaker page. That is a Google Voice number, so that you'll automatically be downloaded. It makes it easier for us.
And we may share it on our next podcast, so you never know.
Yeah, and also give us an email at honestfaithconvos@gmail.com. And so with all of that being said, just want to invite you to join the conversation, and especially during this month, join the conversation with hashtag Tripod.
Bye!